soulmates. Welcome to your Tuesday. I want to thank you in advance for being a part of the conversation. Plenty to talk about right here on FOXSOUL's Black Report. Welcome in. We're going to follow the new advancements for weight loss from one of the nation's leading Black doctors. And we're going to talk about the scam experts say to stay clear of this year. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Lee Thomas in for Nicordelai Corte. Plus, we're going to talk about the raising prices of grocery. They're rising fast, and we have a few tips for our soulmates on how to save $1. And of course, the Universoul circus is still on top of it after all of these years. One of my favorite places in the world.
Go ahead, do it.
Soul Circus.
Well, they're about to hire you in a minute. You better be careful.
Yes, indeed.
We're going to bring you our news, our views, and our voice. So let's get into our top conversation for today. Burger King closing 26 locations right here in the Detroit area. Nearly all of them, like I said, in Metro Detroit.
Yeah, this all over dispute between a franchisee and the corporation. Now, it's workers, majority Black, who were left holding the bag. Fox 2 Detroit's Ingrid Kelly has a reaction.
BK Have It Your Way has taken on a new meaning for hundreds of workers employed by the fast food restaurant in Metro Detroit.
She told me that they were closing down and not to come in.
It's not the way Tawana Johnson wanted to learn from her manager that she and countless others were no longer employed by 23 Burger King restaurants owned and operated in Southeast Michigan by EYM King of Michigan, based in Texas.
They just said they were closing down. They didn't say the reason.
Monday afternoon, Fox 2 found Tawana outside this Burger King near Livernois and Grand River, waiting for her manager to arrive so she could pick up her last paycheck. EYM King of Michigan sent this letter to the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity Workforce Development in Lansing, writing that nearly 430 people are impacted and that the company would permanently cease operations in Michigan due to unforeseen business circumstances and not being able to reach a resolution with Burger King Corporation. Fox 2 called EYM and were told to contact Burger King's corporate offices, which we did, and received a statement which reads, "We are aware of the situation, but cannot comment at this time due to pending litigation." Fox 2 also obtained this letter, which went out to employees. The letter told employees that, quote, "We are unable to continue operating since Burger King Corporation is not allowing us to do so." Although this letter explains the reason for the closing, one manager we spoke to had this to say. What do you think happened?
I'm not sure. Poor management, I think.
This manager says it was also difficult telling her staff they no longer had jobs.
It was very uncomfortable.
Tawana says she has found another job at another Burger King under different management, but she has a message for her former boss.
If you hire somebody, let them know all the information so that way they can make their decision if they want to work here or not or find another one. Because if she would have told me at the beginning, I wouldn't have did it.
In Detroit, Ingrid Kelly, Fox 2 News.
26 locations closed.
Yeah.
A lot of people out of work.
And our thanks to Ingrid for that. Listen, your heart goes out to the workers. I mean, regardless of what has gone on at the upper management, ownership, franchisee level, it's the workers who are suffering. No fair warning. You saw that lady in the piece come pick up her last check. Thankfully, she's found new employment. But aside from, you know, folks needing to find new jobs, being out of jobs, is what's going to happen to those buildings? You know, as Detroiters, we know that we're already dealing with a lot of blight. So you have 26 buildings that are going to be abandoned, shut down. And, you know, sometimes what happens with, you know, graffiti and just people vandalizing. But
people trying to get medals.
That's my concern, the eyesores that are about to happen, you know, across the city because of these abandoned Burger King stores.
Interesting that they couldn't have worked something out. They had to close 26
like, what
stores.
was it?
That is something, and, you know, Ingrid reached out to corporate and they gave us the pat statement.
The runaround.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Federal Trade Commission. It is warning people about scammers using phone calls to scam their voice. Now, the agency says criminals only need 3 seconds. 3 seconds of voice cloning to get your voice. It's the tools that they have that they can use. Now, once your voice has been cloned, the scammer can use it to deceive family and friends into sending money or providing personal information. The FTC says do not trust anyone. Verify who you're talking to, even if it sounds like it's someone you know. And if you have to answer an unknown phone number, the agency also says let the other person speak first. Because it's interesting when you get one of those phone calls and you answer the phone and you hear nothing. And then it's like a silence, and then you hear a recorded phone call. That lets you know that it's already a recording. Hang up.
Well, first of all, I don't pick up any number I don't recognize. They go into voicemail in the first place. And secondly, if I do happen to pick up and there's silence, I don't say anything. And then eventually, you know, it'll disconnect on its own. But to try to stay ahead of these scammers is so tricky and dicey because they are so clever. And I've also always thought that if they would take that genius and flip it and do good, where would we be as a society, as a world? Because they're so clever with the way they go about doing things. Just imagine if they were on the right side of honesty. We'd be better off as human beings.
We'd be a lot better off. But you really have to be careful with that voice cloning technology. If you answer the phone and say, hey, this is such and such, blah, 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 they'll take that, manipulate your voice. And when your family member picks up the phone, it'll be, hey, this is Courtney, how you doing?
And especially with our elderly, our more seasoned folks who, some of them are really good with these cell phones, but others, they're the ones or the generation that still might have a house phone and are accustomed to saying hello, hello, hello until somebody says something, So I'm worried about the elderly as well in situations like that.
Let your people know that voice cloning is happening and getting more prevalent.
So much you got to look out for.
Got to. All right, let's talk about auto insurance rates. They're going up again this year. The biggest increase since 2018. Now that is on top of a 5% increase from last year.
My goodness. Consumer reporter Heather Sullivan reports many drivers are leaving money on the table, and there's more than one way to save.
Auto insurance rates are going up this year like a pedal to the metal, an average of 8.4%.
Even if you've had a really clean driving record, you've had a good year, you weren't driving a lot, you may still see your rates go up by as much as 9%, sometimes even more, depending on your driving record.
A local man showed us his bill just jumped from $289 a month for 2 cars to $391. And he says he hasn't had any accidents or tickets. Other drivers are feeling it too.
I've changed insurance companies probably 3 times just to find a better deal.
20 years, there are no accidents, so you're like, why is it so high?
But that's what a Value Penguin study found that many drivers don't do. Shop around for lower rates.
You have to shop around because you're probably going to save a good chunk of money just by doing so.
Many insurers consider your credit score as a factor, giving lower insurance rates to drivers with higher credit scores. Value Penguin found drivers with good credit could save an average of $950 a year by switching insurers. And drivers with poor credit, who pay the most, could save an average of $1,643 a year by changing insurers. It's much more in some states like Texas. Value Penguin says drivers with bad credit pay an average of $5,275 a year for insurance in Texas, but could qualify for a rate as low as $1,759 a year.
Because it's a huge expense. And if you're not shopping around, you're probably leaving about $3,500+ on the table.
Did she just say 5,000 something a year and you're leaving 3,000 on the table? Who do I have to call? Where's my pen?
And then if
I gotta call
if
somebody.
you don't live in a city like Detroit, we are the automobile capital, so we don't really have like a subway and those kind of reliable type things that are part of your everyday, commute, like a DC or a New York. But gosh, and it's like you don't want to ride dirty. You want to be suited and booted. You want to be legit, but it is so difficult with these interest rates.
And the price is just going up. It really is discouraging.
Rates,
it really
prices,
is discouraging.
All of it.
And then you have to take your time and shop around. Like who has time to I know it's an internet search, but then it's a call. And then when you make the phone call, you get the phone calls back. It's a process that must be done.
Yeah, these insurance rates are off the roof, especially when you live in a city, like Detroit or like Oakland or like a Baltimore, where a lot of times there's this red tape. and they judge you and they price you based upon your zip code
they really
and
do.
the activity
And
that
Texas,
happens in that neighborhood.
They were in the story. It was Texas, Dallas, Houston,
Absolutely.
all those areas where public transportation isn't the same as DC. Or
I know I got my bill, and I jumped up a little bit, and I called Jake, honey. I had to call Jake, and I couldn't get that little guy, little cutie pie man on the phone. But I'm going to sure enough hit him up, because he's going to have to let me tell me something.
Jake with the red sweater, hook me up.
Because even a small increase, like $2, $3, you still feel that thing, you know?
Yeah.
Jake called me back.
You don't have to go anywhere to call us. We are here for you right now. Coming up on FOXSOUL's Black Report, is diabetes medication making it safe for weight loss?
This is a big discussion as of late. We'll tell you what doctors say are possible high health risks. Those details and more when we return. You're watching FOXSOUL's Black Report. You better call me, Jake.
If he calls you, tell him I said what up.
I will.
Tell him I said what up, though.
Talking about my car note bill, my insurance bill. Better call me.
Like my grandma used to say, Welcome back to FOXSOUL's Black Report. For decades, many have struggled to lose weight.
But now there could be a life-changing medicine that has evolved to help cure the obesity crisis, especially among Black American soulmates like you and me. Take a look.
FDA authorized Ozempic 6 years ago as a treatment for people with type 2 diabetes trying to get better control of their blood sugar.
We've noticed right away that Ozempic really helped our patients with losing weight. And so those who had diabetes. And so that was one of our go-to medications.
Then in 2021, Dr. Alicia Shelley, lead physician at the WellStar Medical Center office in Douglasville, says the FDA approved Wegovy, an injectable made by the same company as a weight loss drug.
It was a game changer. We started to be able to use this and start to see an effect in our patients where they were losing up to about 14% of their body weight, which was more than what we had seen prior.
Dr. Shelley says the drugs work by slowing down how quickly food can move through the digestive tract.
So that people feel fuller, people feel more satisfied, they have less craving. So it really helps with people losing weight. It really focuses on that.
And the drugs can also help head off blood sugar spikes. But Dr. Shelley says they're just tools designed to be used together with a healthy diet and exercise. And the results are good, but they're still pretty modest.
When we look at the studies, with diet and exercise alone, most people lose between 5 to 10% of their body weight. But with medications, now we're getting up to 15%.
To qualify for Wegovy, you need to have a body mass index or BMI of 30 or higher, or a BMI of 27 or higher, along with an underlying health condition like high blood pressure or diabetes. The drugs can cause side effects. The most common are nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, stomach pain, and constipation. But in rare cases, users can develop pancreatitis and kidney failure.
So it's extremely important that you go to your doctor to make sure you're a good candidate and make sure that this medication is really for you.
And Dr. Sherry says as demand for Ozempic has jumped, so have reports of shortages.
It has been quite difficult, to be honest with you, trying to get it for our patients who are diabetic who need it, but then also for our patients who have obesity who need it as well.
That was a Fox Medical Team report.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I never think of a medication that's for something else being used for weight loss.
Which is why they went ahead and formulated Wegovy, so it wouldn't disturb the Ozempic, the folks who need Ozempic for, to control their diabetes. But, once it gets out there that, hey, this is the one to take, a lot of people want to still go for the Ozempic. But there is Wegovy, which does the same exact thing, but it has been formulated for weight loss, particularly where the Ozempic helps regulate folks with problems with diabetes. Look, I've heard about the results, and I've heard they've been absolutely fantastic. Really? It's when you come off. Right. When you come off, and you
then
have
what are you going to do? You get the weight back.
Yeah, because I think what it does is it controls whatever that thing is in your brain saying you're full, so you're not eating as much. So it's essentially, from what I gather, almost like an appetite suppressant. So when you come off of it, if you haven't really you know, reset yourself. And if you haven't really done any lifestyle changes and you continue to and you may go back to the way you ate, some people say they gain that weight back and then some. So it's real tricky. It's like she said in the piece, it's a tool, and you're gonna have to continue to change up, you know, the way you
modify
do things.
The lifestyle. That's what it's all about.
That's right.
That whole list of, you know, diarrhea, vomiting. That threw you
off, huh?
Pancreas, kidney.
I heard the nausea is the worst. I heard the nausea is the worst.
Okay.
Yeah, of them all.
All
right, so let's move on to a new study that finds birth control pills that contain only progesterone pose as much risk of breast cancer as pills that contain both estrogen and progesterone. It's been known that for years that the combined birth control pills may elevate the risk of developing breast cancer, but the new study found that the risk of breast cancer was 20 to 30% higher among women who use birth control pills with both of those hormone combinations or the progesterone only pills. But other studies have shown that birth control pills can decrease the risk of some other forms of cancer, including ovarian cancer. So doctors say for many women, the benefits of birth control pills will probably outweigh the risk of breast cancer. Like any medication, this is the ones we just talked about, Wegovy, Ozempic, there are going to be some side effects, there are going to be some risks. Those are usually clearly laid out either by reading the fine print or, you know, talking with your physician. But, you know, throughout the years, women have found, you know, birth control pretty effective, and maybe the risks minimum. You just have to consult again with your doctor and see what's going to work for you. Sometimes different levels don't work well for other women as they do for some other women, and just stay on top of that. You really are going to have to be vigilant, you know, about your health. You have to take responsibility, especially when we talk about women's health and reproduction and how they're trying to take how they've been able to take that control and that choice from us. You really have to get vigilant nowadays.
And talk to your physician. Make sure you talk to your physician and understand the risk and what you can do to make them less, to minimize them.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Meanwhile, the price for groceries seems to just continue to rise, but there are tips and solutions to keep your meals budgeted a bit.
That's important. Experts say the brands most of us know and love are sold for cheaper under different names, helping you save a few dollars on your next shopping trip. Right now, take a look.
Aldi is a discount grocery store offering prices often lower than most grocery stores.
So that's roughly about 15% overall that they're saving on their shopping bill, and that's around $700 a year.
Aldi does it by keeping overhead low. There are only 5 aisles.
So we've got about 1,700 products compared to some of your other stores that may have 60,000. You're always paying for that extra shelf space, but here we've got about 98% of the items that every customer wants on their weekly shopping trip.
They say many of the products are locally sourced or from the same suppliers to major brands, but sold as Aldi brands.
It's the same items that you may get at other retailers under a national brand. They're just in our store under our label, and that's how we're able to save you money.
You won't find avocado towers in produce or a butcher in the meat department.
We don't have a butcher in the back of the store or a cheesemonger or anything like that, or a deli counter, but we're able to prepackage these items that are fresh, never frozen.
Carts are rentable for $0.25, which you get back when it's returned. Customers bag their own groceries, and prices are updated electronically. Heather Sullivan, Fox News.
Still ahead, let's talk about something more pleasant. The Universoul
Do it.
Circus is taking center stage, and we're not lying. Get it? Lion? Never mind. We're not lying.
Wow. Aaron, did you write that?
Still gonna be wild. I like that one. I like that one.
Miranda wrote that.
Right?
Wow. No, stick around. We're going to have a chance to meet the owner and see what all the roar of the guy
Go ahead.
is about next. Roar is about next.
No lying. They're roaring about the circus. Let's go.
Don't do that again,
Let's
Miranda.
go.
Don't do it again, Miranda.
I'm all in.
She wrote that.
Welcome back to FOXSOUL's Black Report. You might notice less dining options the next time you order food through Uber Eats.
Now, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal, the company is working to declutter its platform by removing about 5,000 virtual restaurants. Virtual restaurants, also known as ghost kitchens, serve customers only through delivery or apps such as Uber Eats.
Now, the problem is some restaurants are listing the same menu under different names to try and attract more customers. Now, the report adds one restaurant in San Francisco copied and pasted its menu 20 times.
Now, come on now. But I've never ghost. Have you ever heard of that? I don't really do Uber Eats as much. That stuff can get pricey.
It does.
I'm going to just say a family member kind of looked at the finances and they had ended up spending $7,000 on Uber Eats.
That shocked me to my core.
I was like,
and they're still a family member? No, I'm just
they're
playing,
still very much together and do what they do. But I guess it's their lifestyle. It's how. I don't know. Courtney Hicks cooks, and her husband eats a meal every night, and even a bigger meal on Sunday. I just don't get it.
One man applause, Courtney. One man applause. Do you handle your business?
Thank you. Yeah. I've just always had a problem with people bringing me my food. I mean, I know it's stapled shut and super glued shut, but I don't trust it either. I don't trust it, and it gets so pricey. There's so many surcharges involved. You'll be ending up paying $50 for a small fry.
My youngster ordered something, and the price of what she ordered was the same as the delivery fee.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I
don't know.
We had a conversation.
But we've gotten so used to it and a little lazy. Like I've got family members who say, "Oh, I need a bar of soap."
Yeah, boop, boop,
and then the next thing at the door, somebody done brought it. I'm like, if you don't get your butt up, go to the store, do a Target run or something. All righty. Up next, behind every successful artist,
yes, is an incredible woman.
The Universoul circus is known as the coolest show on earth, and for almost 30 years, can you believe it, the Universoul circus has brought its jaw-dropping combination of circus arts, theater, and music to every culture, family, and generation. People from all over the world have enjoyed thousands of shows over the years, and the fun continues. Joining us now to discuss the evolution and inspiration behind the Universoul circus is founder Cedric Walker. I want to welcome you to FOXSOUL's Black Report.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney. Thank you.
Indeed.
It's a pleasure, and thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Let's start with congrats on 30 years. 30 years. They said it couldn't be done. I remember the beginning days.
Sure.
Yeah.
Detroit.
I remember that. So let's go back to the beginning and what inspired you to create the Universoul circus.
Well, it was an idea whose time had come. Family attractions in America did not have a show that reflected the urban experience, the music, the dance, the swagger, the laughter, that was celebrated in our culture just wasn't represented in family attractions. So we created something that represented that grandmother, father, daughter, son, and grandchild could all sit on the same row and enjoy each other while enjoying the show.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit about Universoul circus and the whole experience, what we can experience. I know it's just not a black circus, but you have incorporated acts of color from around the world. Talk a little bit about that.
So our culture is so rich and diverse until it impacts every culture. Yeah. It impacts global culture. And it's shared. So young people, the circus was made up of young people, 28. Who's going to fly through the air and off of a trapeze but an 18 or a 20-year-old? And they all love that urban energy. They all love the hip hop. They all love the dance. They all love the music that Universoul represents. So they are drawn to this presentation. So we've got a diverse group of performers that all share that common energy, that soul that we share with the world. Yeah. But it's all about audience interaction. When you come to Universoul, you're in the audience, but you're part of the show. Call and response. You're dancing in your seat. You're in the ring. we include the audience just as much as we think the audience are performers as well. Mm-hmm. But it's all about uplifting culture. It's about the positive aspects of our culture. When we first created it, we thought about when blacks first were on TV. We thought about our achievements in sports. We thought about our spirituality. We thought about our music. So we incorporated, if you came to Detroit and moving on up to the top, the Jacksons, music from Motown, the spirituality at the end of the show. So it just encompasses the richness of our culture and the positive aspects of it.
It really does. It just runs the gamut. So, you start the Universoul Circus. How did you go about finding, the talent, the artists for the show? And I'm sure over the 30 years that has expanded because these acts are just unbelievable. They really do take your breath away. They really do. As you can tell, I've been to the Universoul Circus a few times myself.
So, we traveled the world. When I first had an idea, I said, well, I'm going to get a chance to travel around the world because that's what I heard and read about circus entrepreneurs, how they found talent. And so that's what we did. But what we found early on was we had some great black performers that were performing in Europe. European circuses were more lenient, I would say, or more artsy, focused on art. So that was the place where I found a lot of great black performers performing. And we had some in the United States. The Ringling Brothers had the King Charles Troupe and Pamela Hernandez. So they contributed as well. So but the performers that performed on these shows had to be great. So I was very fortunate and when the call went out for a circus that featured black performers, it was answered from around the world. It was something that all the black performers around the world called, and so that was the first one. What we found was there were very few, and it was limited to the few we found early on. So we had to go out and create training camps in these various countries. And in South Africa, there was a circus school in Cape Town. We worked with a circus school in Guinea-Conakry. We work with circus schools in Ethiopia, and we actually set trainers to those schools or incorporated training from Chinese trainers, Russian trainers, because they excelled in the art of circus.
So let me ask you this, Cedric. So what do you, with that in mind, what do you think is the biggest difference between a regular circus clown and a Universoul circus clown? I mean, for the soulmates who haven't seen the Soul Circus just yet.
So if you haven't seen Fresh to Clowns, you're in for a real treat. It's all about the dance, the laughter, and the music with our clowns. It's not built on gags, but it's just built on the urban energy and the use and the dance movements and the new dances. So, yeah. Our clowns are just different, and they're out there in the audience, in the aisles with you. So it's a big difference.
Indeed. All right. So what is this year's schedule looking like, and how can our soulmates learn more about the Universoul Circus and when it's coming to the individual cities? Connect us, link us up.
So our theme is we all belong. So we all belong in this world. We all belong, all races, all cultures, at the Universoul Circus. And right now we're currently in Los Angeles. And we're moving from and we're here through we just started this weekend, and we're here for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And then we move to Oakland in May, middle of May, at the Hilltop Mall in Richmond. Then we move from there to Washington, D.C., at National Harbor at the 4th of July, as we normally do. And then it's off to New York, to the Bronx, to Queens and Brooklyn.
Amazing, amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. Let me say again, congratulations on 30 years. Everybody was questioning it, said it couldn't be done, said it was a pit bull in a lion's costume, but it's the real deal, and it's definitely a cut above. And we just congratulate you. Safe travels. We can't wait till you get to a town, so all of the soulmates can partake. Cedric Walker, founder of the Universoul Circus, thank you for your time today. You are an official soulmate, and we got to have you back to talk a little bit more. Travel safe on that tour as well. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Soul Circus, let me tell you. So like I was saying in the interview, I remember them coming to Detroit. It was one of the test cities.
I remember that. I've been live with the Universoul Circus so many times.
Really?
Had such a great time because growing up, I had never seen an all-black circus. So when I got there, I was like, what?
And then for us, it was all about, he mentioned it, Ringling, Barney, Bailey, Barney, Ringling. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
And so, years and years and years later, here comes the Universoul Circus, and you're seeing these amazing acts of color from across the world. And it's like, whoa. Yeah. We've always been talented.
Ringmaster and everything. Yeah. I love the whole thing.
It's a good time. It
all
really
about
is.
that.
All right, up next, behind every successful artist is a team of incredible women.
We introduce you to the incredible women who have shattered glass ceilings and made their mark in the entertainment industry. You're watching FOXSOUL's Black Report. Have you heard?
And today on FOXSOUL's Black Report, we are joined by LaJoyce Brookshire, one of the co-creators of Women Behind the Mic. These powerful women have had incredible careers in the music industry and beyond, working with some of the biggest names in the industry. Now they are using their expertise to create a platform that amplifies the voices of women in entertainment. I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know your partner Michelle's having some technical difficulties, but I know you'll make good, and maybe we'll have you both back. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, that works out.
All right, we are excited about Women Behind the Mic, and we just want to know what inspired you to create a platform specifically for women in this ever so interesting entertainment business.
We were inspired due to the fact that a lot of films that were being released and documentaries were glaringly absent of the women. And I remember specifically perched in front of the television, ready to watch the New Edition story, and my sisters, and we call each other sisters in the industry, those of us who work behind the scenes, my sisters who worked directly with New Edition, and at the time I was a network producer for radio, and they helped make my jobs easier. So I was so excited to see how they would be depicted, and night after night after night, they were not there. And I thought, wait a minute, on behalf of them, just the righteous indignation that I felt. And we got to work because revisionist history is in full swing, and we cannot expect anyone to tell our stories. So Michelle and I got to work.
Yeah, so why now? Why do you think it's important now for women in particular behind the scenes in the entertainment industry to tell the story? And as of now, do you see any results? Do you see folks really opening up to want to hear these stories and really log these stories, if you will, especially for reference with the next generation of young girls up and coming?
You just said it. The next generation of girls who are up and coming, and that is the reason why. For a long time, I was just okay. Michelle was just okay with having a few trophies on the wall like the ones you see behind me, our pretty pictures and our memories. But you know what? That's not okay anymore.
Yeah.
I have a daughter who's 21, and women everywhere, young women everywhere need to know that we were a part of history. And so this book's purpose is to cement our history, because history deserves to be public, first of all. And so we are making these stories made known publicly, when just amongst ourselves we knew these stories, but now we're sharing them with everyone, and the reception has been fantastic. Yes, people want to know what happened behind the scenes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that, LaJoyce, because as you are, climbing the ladder and gaining all the accolades and the notoriety notoriety. I think sometimes we lose sight, for those of us who are doing it and have done it, we lose sight that we are also curating a legacy that the next generation can live in and learn from. So with that in mind, talk a little bit about the Mic Check curriculum and how it continues to support women in their careers.
And for those reasons, we created the Mic Check curriculum, because it is no good to keep this information to ourselves.
That's right.
I mean, we're moving on. We have retooled ourselves. I'm now a naturopathic doctor. I no longer work in entertainment, but what I do have are a set of skills that have translated into success in other arenas. And that is what young people can come to learn. Also, with the Mic Check curriculum, we want them to see that having a career in entertainment is viable. That young girls who know how to do hair, well, you know, we pay $1,500 a head to get that hair done. The women who like to do nails, and even the young men who like to cut hair, we have to take barbers on the road. And those are the kind of things you'll know, what, I can get paid to do that? What, I like listening to music, and I can tell you what's a good song, what's a bad song, and I could get paid for that. And once people, this generation, this next generation comes to understand that you don't have to be the one singing on the mic.
That's right.
That the real power rests with the people who work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they can see themselves earning a decent living, because once they come to understand that the entertainment industry is a contributor to the global economy, they might start to look at it differently and choose different majors in college.
Yeah, you know what? We talked not too long ago to a stunt woman, black stunt woman in entertainment, and all of her feats. And you know, I was listening to her talk, and I was like, I'm hoping the young soulmates, that we call our viewers, are listening in just to know that this type of career is available. And sometimes, LaJoyce, that behind the scenes check is just as big or bigger than in front of the camera. Briefly, as we've got a couple minutes left, talk a little bit about those careers that we might not be aware of: stunt doubles, camera operators. We know of the costume. We've just got the 2 Oscars.
Yes.
Talk about those fields that aren't as popular. Everybody wants to be the A-list actor, but there are plenty of good employment opportunities, you know, behind the scenes.
Good employment opportunities.
Yeah.
So while everyone is so busy posting themselves, you're not understanding that you can actually get a check for being a social media curator, and that on the staff of record labels, one label in particular, they have 22 employees for people who just curate content. So if social media is your thing, and then if you like calling up a friend and telling them about what's hot and what's not, then publicity may be your thing.
That's right.
And if you like getting into the mud of the things and starting from scratch and writing plans, and if writing is your thing, I'm a writer by trade, so it was very handy with publicity for me, because there's a lot of writing involved, press releases, and newspapers will even run your entire release if it's a good one.
Sure. We've got a little less than a minute left. Let's. I don't want to let you go without talking about the book and lecture series, Women Behind the Mic. Talk a little bit about that.
For Women Behind the Mic, Curators of Pop Culture, Volume 1 has just been released, and it's titled Word to the Wise. And because it's a lot of wise words from 22 women executives who work behind the scenes, and we debuted #1 on Amazon. We'll steer there a couple of weeks later. And the lecture series, we're going to be going to schools and colleges and HBCUs and all types of events where we will be had to share our stories with the public.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We appreciate the movement. We'll have you back on with your partner, Michelle. God bless. And you're an official soulmate now, and we definitely appreciate you. Thank you so much. We shall talk again.
All right. Thank you.
So, you know, I know we've wrapped up Women's History Month, but definitely these ladies, you know, driving that whole point home, reaching and breaking through those glass ceilings, especially to, you know, to be a woman and working with Bad Boy. And even though there was a lot of R&B acts, it was really, you know, hip hop, rap heavy. And for them to still, you know, move through that industry with success was really, really great to hear. And it really continues, and it has inspired, you know, new up and coming female execs in the industry as well.
And we know how challenging challenging it can be for a woman to work behind the scenes in the music business. What was her name? Dee from that rap show who tried to deal with Dr. Dre and got pushed completely out of the business. But anyway, it's kudos to any woman that can navigate through this quote unquote man's world and still make things happen.
And it's good now that you know, even though it might be a little late, that they still get their props, they still get kudos, and they still get recognition. So big ups to those young ladies, indeed.
All right, speaking of kudos and recognition, you know, I'm a movie critic. I've been a movie critic for many years. Critics' Choice
He's
Association,
got the
African American
stripes, the
Critics
certificates,
Association.
the medals, the gold.
Hold on. Pardon me while I pat myself on the back. Enough about that. I really want to bring some light to this movie, and it is my critic's pick. This film won the jury prize for the Sundance Film Festival. It's a powerful drama about unconditional love. It's called 1001.
I really missed you, girl. Yeah, and apparently these roots too. What you been doing? What you been doing?
Nothing. Yes, the roots miss you too.
Terry, just let me see your eyes so I know you're not mad at me.
Yeah, the story is about a recently released young woman from Rikers, and she goes back to Harlem in New York City, and she sees the kid that she left behind struggling in foster care. So she just got out of prison. She doesn't have custody of him, wouldn't even get custody of him. So she takes it on her own and just takes him away, tries to find a life for both of them. I won't give this movie away, but the film is emotional in so many ways about African-American urban experience. It's about the changing culture of New York City at the time. The film star is, yes, Tiana Taylor. She does great and says this about the film. Take a listen.
This is an effing great film, you know, and I think that it is emotionally draining for all the characters. And when I say that, I mean like you have to see it. It's such a good deep, like that's what it should feel like filming this, you know, like who Inez is. It's like I had to go to a place to literally like drain myself, you know, and it was so much put into it. And, you know, it's a great story, but it's also a very common story too.
Yeah, and it's emotional. 1001 is one of the most well thought out scripts I have ever seen. I think the young lady who wrote it, this is her first film, young African-American writer. It packs an emotional punch. 1001, it's rated R, in theaters across the country right now. I will bring this movie back up when award season comes because I do think it is deserving. 1001, well worth the time.
They're saying an Oscar-worthy performance from Tiana Taylor.
I agree.
Coming up, from the stage to the screen, we'll tell you all about an accomplished actress, writer, and motivational speaker who's doing big things in the industry.
Get ready to get inspired. We'll be right back. You are watching FOXSOUL's The Black Report.
Hey Soulmates, we are back, FOXSOUL's Black Report, with another amazing guest. So today we have the privilege of talking to the accomplished actress, writer, and motivational speaker, Edwina Findley, with her impressive acting career and successful nonprofit organization. We're going to talk more about that. Edwina has inspired many with her work. So let's get to know more about this fascinating journey. Want to welcome you to the show, Edwina.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. We just appreciate you. I love the energy. You look fantastic. And I'm ready to talk a little bit about what you are up to, sister.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. What am I not up to?
I know.
So I'm launching a new TV series on Amazon called The Power.
Okay.
It comes out this Friday. It's a global 9-part series that we filmed in London, in South Africa, in Eastern Europe, in Canada. You know, and it brings all of these different cultures and stories together to tell a very exciting and kind of electrifying journey about young women who are able to electrocute people at will.
Yeah.
And they develop this power. And then the question is, what do they do when women, you know, essentially become on top, when women are the ones that
call the shots. Yeah, I was going to ask, talk a little bit more, as much as you want to reveal without spoiling, talk a little bit more about the character in The Power.
Sure. So my character's name is Helen Wright. I'm the chief of staff for Margot Cleary Lopez, played by the incomparable Toni Collette. And I'm pretty much the one that in the government, I'm trying to stay 15 steps ahead of the governmental leaders, of what's happening in the city. Right now, when you enter into the series, the whole city's on fire.
Oh, wow.
Right? There's fires breaking out everywhere, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it. And we realize that it's because these girls now literally have fire and electricity coming out of their hands. And so it also asks the question, too, of what kind of maturity you need in life to be able to wield the power that you're given.
Oh, I love that.
So Helen is strategic. She's analytical. She's a bit sardonic and sarcastic. I'd say stylish. She kind of adds a bit of humor to the show, but also is really about, keeping Margot together, focused, and really getting ahead of this new worldwide phenomenon.
Talk about, black girl magic on steroids. Let's talk about your magic and your experience performing, on stage and how that differs from your experience on the screen. We know that you've had a long journey and it continues with some of the successes, especially with Power. Talk a little bit about the differences there. There is a difference from stage to the screen, yes?
There's absolutely a difference. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., and I'm so grateful that I was raised in a city that not only cultivated my artistry, but also cultivated my blackness, which was just a wonderful
chocolate city
combination. Yes, I was just about to say, we called it Chocolate City back then growing up.
We sure did.
It's just wonderful, and so I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts there, studied theater. And, they really valued pouring into underserved youth. And so I had an opportunity to travel all over the world, singing and dancing and performing as a high school student. After that, went to NYU, studied theater there. But then after that, it's kind of funny because I launched into this career that was going back and forth between theater, which I was so used to, and television. I have this funny story of, coming out of school, working in Shakespeare theater in Washington, D.C., singing in Welsh. But then in the mornings, I would run up to Baltimore and be a straight up cold hard gangster in The Wire.
Right, I remember that. You were so good.
My dad and Shakespeare at night. And I feel like that's kind of been my career, so many different types of roles and different genres and, different cultures.
It shows range, Edwina. Lots of range you had going on, for sure. So let's get into, you talked about pouring into the youth and manifesting our dreams. Let's talk a little bit about your Abundant Life U nonprofit organization that really focuses on, you've already kind of spoke on it, empowering young adults and artists, in particular women. Talk a little bit about what inspired you to get that started.
Sure, absolutely. Sometimes I find that the people that feel closest to a matter or an issue are the people that's gone through it, right? And so when I was a young person, beating the cold, hard streets of New York City, it was really, I was looking for my dream. I was praying for my dream. I was asking God, if I could partner with him to manifest this life that I was believing for myself.
Right.
And during that time, New York City was going through a lot because it was right after 9/11. People were experiencing a lot of turmoil. And so I decided to begin this nonprofit organization, Abundant Life U. And myself and a team, we would travel all over New York, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, predominantly in housing projects. And we just made it our mission to really set the world ablaze as far as people being able to see their purpose and vision and calling. And then over the years, especially, moving to Hollywood, I've been able to garner some of my celebrity friends. And we just have come together to really empower the next generation of artists, creatives, business leaders. We believe that some of the brilliance, and especially within our African-American community, that there is brilliance, that we have that may not be fully tapped. So we have programs like financial planning, goal setting. We started a school a few years back and created a program called Artist CEO to really help develop the next generation. And now we've got a business incubator that's about to begin for young adults. We realize that 70% of next generation want to begin their own businesses. So what does that look like for them? And then a big part of it too is called Abundant Life, right? So there's a very spiritual element to it as well.
Yeah.
There's a mental health and faith component as well. And so we are faith-based, and that's a big part of, you know, what we want to share as well, that God has a plan for all of our lives, and how can we strategically partner with him.
Absolutely.
The manifestation of it.
Absolutely. Girl, that's not a nonprofit. That is a movement and a ministry. We love
Hallelujah.
it. We love it. We love it. Real quick, we got about 10 seconds. I want to wrap up with, we can catch The Power this Friday. Where about again? Where can we watch that?
Yes, it's going to be, the first 3 episodes are going to drop on Amazon Prime in 240 countries. So it's
amazing.
Global.
Amazing.
Dropping this Friday, and then 1 episode a week after that.
Okay, sounds good. Edwina Findley, thank you so much, sister. You're an official soulmate. We got to have you back to talk more about this movement and this ministry, and we'll be looking for you. And when you win that Oscar one day, you better come back and let me touch it.
I received it.
I know that's right. All right, we love you. Thank you for your time today. We'll talk soon. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you. Bye.
I love that. I mean, it's just like a movement. Like I said, to her, this is a ministry. This is a movement, inspiring that next generation to come up after her.
Edwina, go ahead, handle her business. I love that she's doing more than just what it seems on the surface, because she's really touching on so many different things. That was a good interview, by the way.
Thank you. And she's been a character actor for so long. I feel like she's now moving into where you know her name, and not just, you've seen her face, but now you're going to, remember her name. So many blessings to her.
Isn't it cool when somebody can take a platform and grow it?
Isn't that something?
And really what they're doing is helping.
And to sound so grounded and anchored out there in La La Land.
Yeah, I know,
we know how
LA
nuts that is.
Yeah.
And I know you know as a film critic who's
who's
out there a lot, who talks a lot about these actors and actresses and their transgressions.
You can get lost in an
That's
instant out there. So good for her.
Yeah, thanks for her time today. All right, for the full rundown on today's stories and more, access FOXSOUL's video on demand from any of our partners. You can even see past shows that you may have missed out on. And don't forget, Soulmates, the FOXSOUL app is absolutely free. So
is it free?
Yeah. So
I love that.
You download that today.
I have to tell you something. I do enjoy sitting next to you.
I do. You are the people's champ, honey. And I appreciate you.
No, you're great, Courtney.
No, you're great. No,
get out the way, everybody.
No, you're great.
We're too busy telling each other how great we are.
I know. I'm Courtney Hicks.
I appreciate you most. I appreciate them the most for tuning in. I'm Lee Thomas in for Nicordelai Corte.
You've been watching FOXSOUL's Black Report. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Lee.
You the one. You the one.
You the man. You the man.
No, you the woman.
Ah, man.